What's up, dudes, lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts here, guys. I got a deck profile. I know it feels like forever, and I keep promising them, but they're harder than they look, than you'd think they would take. Getting all the cards, actually making a solidified list, and that's another thing is that I never want to give you guys just a half-ass list just because I want to get you content. I want to make sure it's a good list that I feel confident in, like bringing to you. That if you build it, you can have the same kind of results that I have. So. Yeah, we're here with Lair of Darkness, a really cool deck. Let's come down here and we'll peep that. This is a pretty weird build. I saw a bunch of different deck profiles, some using one using like a ton of weird techs, and then some other pretty standard ones. So it's kind of a combination of standard combined with like some pretty spicy stuff as well. So let's just jump right into it, and you'll see the spice, you'll see the standard as we go. The first monster we're going to start with is Arima, the Wicked Warden. So this guy is pretty much like, I don't know, there's a lot of cards that are like this. You can discard him to the graveyard to search Lair of Darkness. He's pretty much three extra copies of Lair, but he's just more, what's the word I'm looking for? More diverse. He's more of a flex option because he can't be a monster. He can't tribute stuff, and if you don't know, while you have Lair on, you can tribute your opponent's dark monsters, and Lair makes all your opponent's dark monsters, so you can just tribute your opponent's stuff. And that's the whole point of the deck, is just make it so your opponent can't do anything because you're just tributing their stuff the whole time. But yeah, he's a really important consistency piece. You got to play him. Then for the best monster in the deck straight up is Lilith, the Lady of Lament. She is 2,000, but she says if you normal summon her, she'll be cut in half down to 1,000. But she has a really nice quick effect that says you contribute a dark monster to reveal 3 normal traps from your deck. Your opponent will randomly pick one, and you will set that one to your field. But they don't have to be different, so as long as you have 3 copies of a trap, you can just pretty much guarantee you're going to get the trap you want. And it's a quick effect, so it can be activated on your opponent's turn, which is really good of an interruption. If you have Lair of Darkness on the field, because you're just going to tribute your opponent's stuff, and they can't really respond to it until after their monster's already gone, because the tributing is cost. So you're paying your opponent's stuff for cost, which is so good. And then for obvious reasons you'll see in a minute, we play like a spicy, like a dark level 3 fiend lineup, because we do play Ties of the Brethren. So that includes Skarm. Skarm searches any dark level 3 fiend, which can be Lilith if you want to set it up for next turn, or any of these other guys, Sangan, Doomdog Octhros, or Tour Guide. Tour Guide is one of your best follow-up plays because on your second turn, your opponent has probably burned through their hand traps, and that's why people worry about Tour Guide, because it's just ash bait, and you can get punished pretty hard if it does get, impermanence, veilered, ashed, all those things. It can be hit kind of hard, and it does take up your normal summon. But at that point on the second turn, your opponent probably doesn't have any more hand traps left. The only bad thing about Skarm is it does search on the end phase. I wish it was faster, but it's not. You're not complaining though. You just gotta cope with that. Sangan, when he's sent from the field to the graveyard, can add any monster with 1,500 or less attack, but you can't activate its effects until the next turn. So he's like your hand trap searcher. And Doomdog Octhros says when he's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add exactly 1 level 8 fiend monster, and you'll see what that is in a little bit. But this is your lineup for Ties of the Brethren. You actually sometimes don't want to open up Lady Lilith, because if you special Lilith off Ties, she'll keep her 2,000 attack, and a lot of people have to out Lilith with battle. But if she's at 2,000, it can be really problematic for people to even just get her off the field. And something that I feel like a lot of people will find weird is that I only play 1 Darkest Diabolos. You can search it with Arima. I didn't bring it up, but Arima can tribute a dark monster on the field. It can be himself or something else. If you tribute another dark monster, then you can search 1 2,000 attack point or more defense monster from your deck to your hand, or if you tribute himself or don't want to search Diabolos, you can just draw a card off of tributing. So sometimes you just tribute your opponent's monster to draw a card, which is always good. -1 for your opponent, +1 for you. And I believe Diabolos can special summon itself off of Arima if you search it, because it says he can special summon himself if a monster is tributed, if a dark monster is tributed. And it says even if he's not in the hand when it activates. So if you search him, he still, I believe, can chain himself and special. Not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure. Then I play 1 Grinder Golem. So this is the spicy card. It's only at 1. but it's searchable with Doomdog Octhros and one of your main plays, just Ties of the Brethren in. He's usually a follow-up play. Sometimes you open him, which is cool, but he's usually a follow-up play, and you can just go so in like offensively with him because he's pretty much a Link 4 rating by himself because you'll see the extra deck, but he pretty much, you give him to your opponent, you special summon him to your opponent's side of the field, and then you give yourself 2 tokens. You usually put him above an extra monster zone, and then you'll summon Akashic Magician, which will immediately bounce him back to your hand, and then you summon him again because he's not once per turn, and get 2 more tokens and make another Link monster, you know. Also, we get Security Dragon just revealed, which actually makes it so you can bounce him a second time and use him activate his effect a third time. So actually, when Security Dragon comes out, he becomes even better, even bigger extender. One thing to be careful of, though, is the turn you use his effect to summon himself, you cannot normal summon, period. So that's why he's usually a follow-up play, is because you need to use your normal summon turn 1 and then turn 2 when you're trying to go for game and just amass a ton of it, like a big monster board, you just go for him. So yeah. We also play the artifact, a small artifact engine, which is just 2 scythe and 1 moral attack. A lot of people play artifacts only play 1 scythe, but I play 2 just because the deck needs to grind a lot of the time. So 2 comes up. Like sometimes you just need to resolve multiple Sanctum, and just locking your opponent out of the extra deck for multiple turns in a row just means that certain decks in the meta just cannot play for multiple turns in a row. And then for the hand traps, I don't play a lot of hand traps because you don't need to, because Sangan searches your hand trap, and that's like one of your main plays, is just go through Sangan, search whichever hand trap is most viable in that situation, and then it's super easy. But the ones I play right now are Droll and Veiler. Droll's for most of the combo decks, Gokis, Dark Warriors, whatever, Dangers, those kind of decks, because it just does shut them out for a turn. And Veiler is for like some of the other decks that aren't quite as extra deck reliant or searchable reliant. So Veiler's better against like Altergeist and stuff like that. So yeah, these are all I play for the hand traps. I'd probably drop Veiler for Ash if I could, because I do want a high impact one like Droll, but Veiler sometimes isn't as good as Ash. Ash is just more generically good against most decks. There. And then 3 Lair of Darkness. Not much to say about this card. Makes every monster on the field dark. If you were to tribute a monster, you can tribute one of your opponent's monsters instead. And at the end of either player's turn, if a monster was tributed, period, that turn player gets tokens, level 3, 1000 attack, 1000 defense, fiend tokens, up to the number of monsters that were tributed that turn. So sometimes you tribute like 2 or 3 cards on your turn and you get 2 or 3 tokens on the end phase. So that can be really nice if they survive till next turn, or it's just more tribute fodder, whatever. They're just really handy. But definitely be careful at how many tokens you give your opponent, because they can use it to punish you sometimes. And then for like the most powerful card in the deck, Ties of the Brethren, this is how you amass a ton of advantage. Whether you just need to open any level 3 Fiend. And I saw builds that played less than what I play. Like they dropped 2 even. Like they would just play like Tour Guide and Sangan. They wouldn't play like Octhros or Skarm. But I just wanted to play it because I want to maximize the chances of opening any level 3 Fiend and Ties. I just wanted to maximize the chances of opening that combo, just that 2-card combo. So I play 7 level 3 Fiends and the 3 of this. So really good, like a really solid chance to open it. Then I play 3 Pot of Duality, and I know what you're saying, John, you've got multiple cards that special summon, and Pot of Duality can't be activated the turn you special summon. I've played this a couple times now, and it has not happened once where this has actually been a problem. I have drawn hands where I couldn't do both in the same turn, but usually the other plays are so much stronger that you don't need this. You save it for next turn, and you just try and like grab something you need next turn. But this is supposed to be, instead of playing like extra copies of Lair, it can be a possible Lair by looking at the top 3 cards, and hopefully there's a Lair there if you need it. Otherwise, if you don't need Lair, this can be whatever is in the top 3 cards, and it's more versatile that way. And if you open it with like Ties, you just go for Ties, because Ties is so strong that if you do Ties, you don't need Duality that turn. Like you just don't, because Ties itself, like resolving Ties is just so incredibly strong. So 3 Duality. I wouldn't fret about it. Sure, it'll come up sometimes where it's weird, but it's usually not that big of a deal. 2 Called by the Grave, just because you do play Ties of the Brethren. If that gets ashed, it can really punish you. And just in general, it comes up in other situations outside of just hand traps, even just, you know, banishing rays, banishing whatever. There's a ton of other niche situations where it comes up. One spicy card I do play is Monster Gate. It tributes a monster. You tribute a monster to reveal cards from the top of your deck until you get a monster that can be normal summoned, and you special summon it to the field. The rest of the cards go to the graveyard. I do play some cards that you don't mind going to the graveyard, and you do have just like free special summons. If you can get a Lilith, that's a special summon, which is really nice. Also, the tributing cost is really nice because if you have Lair and you're going second, you tribute your opponent's monster for cost to get a free special summon. So you're literally like plussing 2 off of that in terms of card economy. So like the ceiling for this card is so high. And sometimes I've drawn like hand traps with this, and I just normal the hand trap because I didn't have a good monster like Lilith, and I just tribute the hand trap to hopefully get a Lilith or Diabolos or something like bigger and better. And it usually works out. So it's a nice card to have. Then Artifact Sanctum. This card's here for your artifact engine. It's so strong. Scythe is so good. So like over half of the top 10 meta decks just like pretty much pass for a turn if you hit them with Scythe. There. Then I play 3 back to the front. This is just your searchable Monster Reborn. It really is nice. You have to play this card, I feel like. It's too good. Lilith is like super easy to take off the field, but because its effect is a quick effect, it's just sometimes you just need to get Lilith back on board, and it can be so annoying for your opponent if just every turn you have another like back to the front on. So even if they if they know even if they out the Lilith, you're gonna get it back and you're gonna tribute another monster they have. There. And then for like the one card I would probably change outside of like changing the hand trap to from Valor to Ash is Lost Wind. So Lost Wind's good. I really like Lost Wind. I do like the grindability of it, that it comes back. But the deck really struggles going second sometimes, again, especially against decks that like set up pretty strong boards, just because you only have 2 hand traps in this main. This is like sort of a budget version, whereas normally I'd play like 3 impermanents instead, probably. 3 impermanents would definitely be better. You can, like, on the fly, set impermanents into a zone your opponent has already placed a spell or trap, and then you have, like, that negate effect up, and it kind of does the same thing. Maybe not as high a ceiling, but still better going second so that you can slow down your opponent if they're playing a more combo-oriented deck. And then the last trap in the deck is Heavy Storm Duster. This card is really, really good against certain matchups, and then even if it's not in that matchup, sometimes you search it just because you draw your artifacts and you want to pop your own artifacts in your zones on your opponent's turn, and then just like scythe them, albeit like a weird method. You're still scything your opponent on your opponent's turn, which is really good. There. Then so that's the main deck. The only thing I'd change is like straight up the Lost Wind and probably changing Valor to Ash. Other than that, this main deck has been like really solid so far. I'm going to keep testing it, but it's been really, really good. So then most Lair decks do not really use the extra deck at all. This deck just uses the extra deck because of Grinder Golem. That's usually the main way you use it. So that's what most of these like extra deck monsters are targeted towards. So 3 Link Spider, just because you need it to do the Grinder Golem. You need 2 to go into Akashic. Then you need a second one to have a different named monster to make like a nightmare underneath of Akashic. So 3 Link Revo is absolutely a must if you're playing Grinder Golem. 1 Link Revo, kind of same thing. The Grinder Golem tokens are level 1, so Link Revo, pretty basic. 1 Akashic Magician, it bounces your Grinder Golem so that you can use it again and extend even further. The actual second effect doesn't usually come up in a lot of decks, but this deck it actually can't come up. I used it today, actually. It actually says once per turn, you can declare 1 card name, then you excavate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of the number of the link rating of the monsters co-linked to this, which is usually 2, because usually you just have like a Cerberus or a Phoenix under it co-linked. So you excavate the top 2 cards. If the card you declared was there, you add it to your hand. If not, the cards go to your graveyard. And sometimes you just have good cards, like if you have like Lost Wind, which sometimes milling is just fine. So if your opponent goes in the extract, you're getting advantage off it. And you also have like Diabolos, which if you get lucky and send Diabolos, he's just live in the grave. But I always end up like, if I don't have Lilith yet, I call Lilith. And it's just once per turn, so every turn you can do that if she stays on the field. So she's pretty cool. I just didn't even realize that was her effect until I read it today, which is kind of funny. One Wee Witch's Apprentice, almost everything in your deck is dark. You're playing Wee Witch's Apprentice, you just are. Helps you beat over things, helps your weak level 3 monsters get bigger than they otherwise would be, which is nice. One Underclock Taker, again, you're just trying to, just helps you out certain things, just certain big monsters, because a lot of your monsters are pretty weak. If you can't get like Diablos, or if you weren't able to do a grind or go and play into a bigger monster, you may need this to just kind of take down something with a high attack stat. One Ripperdokus, this is only relevant for Summon Sorceress plays, which are available thanks to Grinder Golem. And yeah, that's mostly, it's just a little piece to help you go into Summon Sorc. And then you play like the Nightmare package. I actually play like a full Nightmare package almost, barring Mermaid, because Mermaid isn't really super needed here. But you just play all of these four. You play Griffin just because Griffin's going to add you back a one of your traps, or even a spell card if you needed it. Right? Or is it just a trap? Is it trap only? No, it's spell or trap. It's either. Which is really nice, and he also is a decent floodgate if you can summon him not in the extra monster zone. Then Unicorn, removing anything, Cerberus, Phoenix, basic stuff. I don't need to go over those. If you have a way to link spam, you should probably be playing Nightmares in your extra deck. That just is what it is. They're too generically good. Summon Sorc, just because sometimes if you open Grinder Golem, or you can make a Grinder Golem play with any fiend that isn't Lilith, but you really need to turbo Lilith out, you can just summon Sorc Lilith right out to the field. Lilith will still have its 2000 attack stat, and then Lilith is live to start tributing your opponent's stuff. So sometimes you don't even need to link up from there. Half the time you just summon Sorc Lilith out, and then you just have a 24 beat stick with Lilith and with the other fiend that you had on the board. So yeah, really good at just helping you turbo into Lilith. Curious I have yet to summon. I haven't tested the deck a ton so far, but Curious, it can come up. I know how it come out. It comes up in like basic link play, just getting 3 darks that aren't the same. So like usually one fiend, like one link spider, and then I forgot what the other one is. You could do like a spellcaster with a Koshik. So sometimes you need to use a link 4 rating to get into him, but once you get him, you can like turbo Diablos to grave and mill, and that can be nice if you need Diablos in that certain matchup. So I just played him because he's not the most necessary card. If there was something else, this would probably be the one card I drop for Security Dragon when it comes out. Because Security just like increases Grinder Golem's potential immensely. And then the last card in the extra is DDD Stone King Darius. This is just your out to Borreload. Otherwise, you can still out Borreload because you can tribute him. But if you don't have a tribute situation set up, you can just go into DDD Stone King Darius to attack into him and remove him. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for you here today. Hopefully you like this deck profile. This deck's really, really fun. If you're a control player, this is definitely a deck I would definitely recommend that you try out. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's some spicy cards you think I maybe didn't see when I was trying to build the deck and that I should try, because I'm definitely down to maybe mix up the deck a little bit, but it's been really good so far. And hopefully it works for you guys if you decide to build it too. But that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more deck profiles, Yu-Gi-Oh videos, all that shit in the future. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.